before we talk about some of the products, it is also important to talk in terms, to talk about the history of, the agricultural insurance within the context of Nigeria. Now, if you look at all the sources, you will not see you will not trace any history where the colonial masters actually pay attention to agricultural insurance. What they did was just providing interventions for them to have what they call a commercial crop economy, so that they can be able to continue to exploit the country. That's just what they are. So they are not interested in any provision of any type of agricultural risk-related insurance. Of course, there are other insurance that they have actually put in place in terms of general businesses and other, life insurance, because it directly affects what they do. But in terms of agri, because it's largely driven by the domestic, Nigerians, by this, for them to come up with initiatives that will advance those, commercial crop production, and several initiatives in terms of British Cotton Growing Association that you see in 1905, the Granite Promotion in 1910, as well as the major agricultural products in Makwa sometimes around 1949, all focused towards crop production in the country. Now, the issues relating to agricultural insurance started in 1987, when the Nigerian Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Scheme in 1993 specifically, the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation was actually incorporated with clear basic mandate for second to promote. Actually, this is the mandate was actually insurance is really a very important segment as far as government in the insurance gap of consistently. We have not been able to actually have or operate within even the African average in terms of our ability to penetrate, that is insurance penetration rates. And what that rate tells you, it tells you the extent to which the country, or the extent of coverage in terms of economic activities as it relates to the size of the entire economy. So it has always been 3% consistently, but as 2025, it has increased to 0.5%. So that is the general agricultural insurance, which is always very difficult for you to get in terms of specific products. If you search, it's always difficult. But what I have done is to say, okay, considering the development within the industry, and considering what we have actually seen in terms of the number of products that were actually insured, so being able to come up with a relatively, which I think it stood as at first quarter of this year, about 3 to 4%, because if you look at the total number of insured people that actually subscribe insurance, agricultural insurance, ranging about 1.47 million, and then of course related to the total size of the households, agricultural farmers, owners, you get about 3 to 4%. So which means that up to this moment, sizable portion of our house or smallholders farmers are not really covered by agricultural insurance for obvious reasons that we are going to highlight some of these reasons. And again, we've seen when you look at Nigeria across other countries, you will see that South Africa has about 11.3%. Of course, the African average has always been within 3% and above. Nigeria has consistently remained at the bottom of about just 0.5%. So these regional disparities actually indicate to you that yes, looking at the size of our population, looking at our capacity in terms of being one of the largest economies in Africa, I don't think we are faring well in this regard. So again, in terms of gross written premium for the entire industry, there are some development when you look at it. There is no clear statistics in terms of segregation of some of these products, but what NICOM did was to give the total sum, insured for the year for agricultural insurance, which stood about 1.01 trillion. It tells you that yes, there is an advancement in terms of the way actually people are subscribing to insurance. The premium, and of course, they are looking at the possibility of increasing that value, by 2026, by up to, in terms of the subscription, by about 3.6 million. So again, there is clear advancement in terms of trajectory that yes, the industry is not yet there, but there is capacity to actually improve, and there is improvement. Now, next is to look at the products. Generally, there are 3 types, or let me say 4 types of products. You may have the crop insurance, which is divided into both the subsidized products and the unsubsidized products. So, to provide insurance, agricultural insurance, which of course you have secondly, there is the NAIC that is also, they need to do a lot in that regard. There is also the financial institution, that is the banks, that also channels, which are expected to also advance the channels. Crop research institute is also coming together to important policies, especially for certain specific follow to ensure that people actually enroll. NICOM, the financial institution, the banks, and several other institutions that come together to actually advance the interest of insurance products. So all of these are working together to ensure the advancement of that in terms of having a higher enrollment rate. So having a higher enrollment rate. So we have the NICOM, who is the regulator. We have the provider, which is, and then of course we have the enablers, including CBN and several other institutions that ensure that the all that is expected is provided. I will just highlight them. Insurance, agricultural, low insurance awareness. So there is always misinformation and low financial literacy about insurance benefits. So that has always been a serious problem. It affects the enrollment. And the second issue is the issue of subsidy. The premium has always been expensive. Look at the population where you have correlation of several, and it affects the enrollment. It makes risk pricing a bit more difficult. Again, one of the major issues that relate to the weather is the basis. When you are talking about weather-based index, you are only looking at there will always be disparity between the actual loss and what actually the index actually provides, and that affects enrollment, especially in terms of renewal. When you buy a particular policy and you realize that you are not able to get anything as a result of that index, you are not likely going to renew. So again, I think one of the major decisions there is to be able to actually leverage technology so that there is clear, modeling in terms of, risk pricing, and then of course in terms of settlement, claim settlement. So basis risk is also one of the major challenge. There is also issues related to operational risk that actually affects the ability of the industry to actually advance. Let me quickly look at some of these opportunities that will enable us to scale up. One is there is actually rapid scale up in terms of the ability of the industry to actually get more people to actually on that, and they are also using technology to be able to do that. There is also digitization, and it cannot be possible, especially in terms of monitoring rate. Now, the path forward, let me just highlight these two major issues. Agricultural insurance in Nigeria faces a deep-rooted structural and operational challenges that limit its ability to protect farmers from related threat. However, digital technology can increase adoption rates. The key success factors will be reducing basis risk, which a lot of insurance companies are to do that, making it affordable, so ensuring that not only affordability, but increasing the ability to pay claim as and when due, and then of course ensuring transparency in the way claims payments are computed to build farmer trust. This would actually enhance, the society or smallholder farmers to embrace agricultural insurance for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much, sir. Please, can we give him another round of applause? And thank you very much, sir, for that tone-setting presentation. And I believe so many participants here have questions, comments, addition, subtraction, but reserve it for now. There will be time for that. Thank you. And quickly, with the permission, is investigators.
Good morning, everybody. And Innovation, Professor Ahmadu. Let me equally acknowledge the presence virtually of the CEO, International Center for Evaluation and Development. Let me equally acknowledge the presence of the Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, HODs, presence of those representations or representatives of HODs. Let me equally acknowledge the presence of professors here, research team members, our state resident supervisors, some of our farmers are equally due to stand on the existing protocol. I think we are actually doing the proper talk now. I want to take a cue from where the last presenter stopped, Professor Ahmed. And of course, we're addressing him as a immediate past dean, Ahmadu Bello Business School, forgetting to know that he is equally a co-PI as this research is concerned. With the kind of elaborate presentation setting the tone, I think we did not make a mistake by selecting him as an insurance expert to be in the team. So we seriously appreciate that. As you can see on the slides, these are portraits of the team members. You can see an in-house person, advisors, you have our mentors. Present. As you can see, our local partners that we collaborated with, such as the International Policy Food Research Institute, Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, like Nigerian Incentive-Based Risk Sharing for Agricultural Lending. We have NISA, then Nigerian Meteorological Agency, and the ADPs, NELD, and then Insurance Department of Ahmadu Bello University Business School. Okay, line data connections, main result here to deal with the rainfall pattern. So late onset of rainfall, you have increased projected to intensify under making effective risk eligibility and proximity. Ineffective risk eligibility and proximity. Cannot protect farmers against the covariate mitigation strategy always adopted includes crop. But these strategies are against these weather shocks. And again, in these regions, formal agricultural risk management strategy remains very, very limited, or in some instances completely absent. And so with this, the farmers are left to shoulder all the losses that they may encounter. And in these regions, we equally notice that there's predominant Muslim population. There's predominant Muslim populations that faces some constraint as conventional insurance may conflict with Islamic finance principle that prohibits uncertainty, that's excessive uncertainty, communities in this area that And crop insurance policy actually was complete. Takafo weather index insurance and digital picture can be a solution. Now, what do we mean by the Takafo weather index insurance? It is a Sharia insurance model based on mutual cooperation, shared responsibility, where participants contribute their funds towards a common pool in order to cover losses. Now, this insurance is very, very appealing for management of agricultural risks because once it objectively measures whether based on individual crop assessment. And in that case, you realize the conventional assessments of individual crops. It eliminates moral hazards, and it insurance is the time it takes for evaluation and the time weather images of agriculture of Muslim farming communities at it designs which and enables rapid payout processes. Okay. Now, therefore, the general objective of this study is the effectiveness of Takafo mutual weather index insurance with digital picture for millet and sorghum farmers in the Sudan-Sahel zones of Nigeria. More specifically, the research documents and analyze differential perceptions and attitudes of farmers towards weather risks. It examines the impact of the mutual weather index insurance that is compliant with Islamic principles of Takaful on the demand and use of weather index insurance. And then thirdly, it evaluates the uptake and use of mutual weather index insurance on the production and investment behaviors of farmers in this region. And lastly, it evaluates the extra, because of course, our interest in this, our presentation, is to tell you what we found, our result. But of course, it becomes necessary to tell you the processes, because the credibility of findings depend on how credible the processes we generate the results came about. That is why I'm taking you through all these stages. That is during the training. But however, only farmers under the mutual-based insurance plus information provisions were insured for this image captured in the picture. So we are going to elaborate more on this, especially the particular treatment group. Now, about data collection. Data collection was in 3 waves, that is during the baseline, during the midline. So this provided a rich foundation for subsequent impact evaluation. Now, what we have here is the roadmap of how we went about our data collection. For instance, in 2022, the baseline contents. At that point, we had not done the randomizations where every community and farmers were at the same level. So this baseline was carried out in 7 states, 35 local governments, 70 villages, and 1,028 farmers. Then in March to April 2023, farmers sensitization took place where farmers were trained on agricultural risk management. Again, is in that process that they were introduced to insurance. Then in May to June 2023, the farmers were onboarded into the various treatment categories. So farmers were about 517 farmers in both treated groups signed up to be involved in the insurance. So this was the time farmers were signed up in the insurance program. Then July to October 2020, that was when we started the data collection. So you have data and pictures were collected at specific growth stages of the crops. We're going to see more about this. Then November 2023 to April 2024, this was the time where pictures were evaluated, then the weather information were equally evaluated for farmers to actually be compensated or otherwise. Okay, so for the baseline, the key information we sorted from the farmers included profile of the farmers, climate change awareness, climate change mitigation strategies, insurance awareness, TACAFO insurance awareness, and role of religions on insurance. And so what follows is actually what we found. So as per the profile of the farmers, about 98% were male, and just about 8 of them were married. Now, as per their climate change experience, of course, majority of them agreed that drought days have increased, and again, they equally significantly agreed that the rainfall pattern has been more erratic, very unstable. Now, in terms of their coping strategies, it varied. For example, some seek off-farm employment, other change seat every year, other consult with research extension agents, other purchase crop insurance, very few, and other practice organic farming. So these were the various traditional mitigation strategies sorted by these farmers in the case of any climate risks. Now, in terms of geographic variation in baseline characteristics across the states, in terms of previous insurance uptake, we realized that Yobe, I think it's Yobe, this information were collected during the growth stages of the crop. So the germination phase was between May to June, the vegetation phase was June to July, the flowering to the grain formation phase was July to August, and this was August to September, and then the harvesting was October to December. So the picture protocol, the steps that were taken, so in this, farmers were enrolled into the TACAFO weather index and provide information about the crop they are planting, but the two crops that we selected were either the farmer is planting sorghum or either it can be both. So they have to provide information and then the location. And in this location, there was a geotagging coordinate of that plot was taken, so that repeated collection of information, either by way of picture or weather information, was taken repeatedly on that plot, and then we trained our enumerators, so our enumerators received training on taking of pictures and, of course, emphasize the brightness of the picture, because these pictures, at the end of the day, was evaluated for physical damages that could trigger payout or compensation. Now, these enumerators submitted geotag pictures through a user-friendly platform. Why stamp? Because you can take picture from another plot, which is not a plot of interest, and you still submit. So we ensure that it must be from the geotag plots. We stamp tag to ensure that it is from that plot. Then, at the end of the day, a committee of experts will sit and then evaluate these pictures and then determine the extent of damage that may trigger payout for the farmer by way of compensation. Okay, so what you see is during the germination phase of the crop evaluation, and then what you see here is the vegetation phase of the crop development, and then you have the flowering or the grain formation stage of the crops. So this is some of the pictures that you there. Now, for the picture evaluations, we have 4 teams of experts, 2 from agronomy, 1 from extension, and 1 from insurance. They start to study the pictures we submitted to them. And the germination and the vegetation stages crop were classified as green leaf. In this case, crop is developing well with a lot of nutrients, or green pale, some deficiencies due to low nutrients, or not available. That is, you can't read meaning from pictures, or no picture at all, or picture of crop does not match with the face of the crop. Now, for the flowering formation stage, crops was classified as very good formation, average looking formation, or poorly looking formations, or not available. So what did we find? So the key outcome from the picture evaluation was that about 51% of the farm plot was pale green, meaning that there was deficiency of certain nutrients, probably insufficient water during the germination phase. Then about 55% of the crop was pale. That's deficient of certain nutrients, probably insufficient water still during the vegetation phase. And about 54% of the farm plots indicated poor grain fillings during the flowering to grain fillings phase of the crops. So, therefore, based on the picture evaluations, about 61 farms, which is about 22.6% of the farm plots trigger payout or compensation. So at the end, 61 people were compensated. Okay, so summary of findings at the midline crop monitoring. Once farmers experienced dry spells than floods, and then two, dry spell was more experienced during the
hectares of land.
dry spell was more experienced during the vegetative phase of the crop, and then more of the dry spells occurred between 7 to 14 days, and most of the farmers experienced partial damage. Indicated green pale nature of the crops, meaning deficiency in certain water during the germination and vegetation phases. And most of the plots showed poor grain fillings during the flowering and grain filling phase. 61 of the farm plots trigger compensations of varying amounts based on the degree of damage. Sorry, my slide has stopped moving.
Slide thing has stopped moving.
Please for the system. So sorry, please just give me a short while. Probably is complaining that I've spoken so much. Maybe we need to have a small break. So,
na programming programs kasan akwai sababbi da aka yi resource verification kwana so kuma waɗanda aka resource verification kwanan suna da yawa ba ka sani academic planning da zaka tambaye shi sai dai yan academic planning su za su maybe in kana yawa yi to kai a tambayi director
Okay, sorry, please. I think we are back. Sorry for the interruption. So I have spoken about the general summary of the findings and the midline crops. So okay, it's okay. So we are here, which is one of the main results. And this table is a table that shows the treatment effects on future TACAFO participation. And so the treatment effects here has to do with the mutual weather index insurance and then the index insurance. And the treatment, the treatment outcomes here include whether a farmer has previous, whether the farmer is aware about the TACAFO insurance, whether the farmer, the insurance appeal. That's the outcome. You have insurance appeal. In fact, it is previous insurance uptake. You have TACAFO awareness, TACAFO appeal, and future TACAFO participation. So these are the outcomes, and we are looking at how the treatment effects have impact on these outcomes. And when you look at results, we use the linear probability model, estimating, looking at the treatment effects independently and then combined. So what we found about most of the outcomes is that the result was counterintuitive, meaning that either some of the outcomes were statistically not significant, or some were significant but with the correct sign, and so it was only one of them that actually was appealing. That is the future insurance, the future TACAFO participation was significant, statistically significant and positive. And the implication of this result is that the future TACAFO participation provides a strong willingness for the uptake and use of the mutual weather index insurance. And so that is actually what we found out. And so even though we had other covariate outcomes such as farmer characteristics and so on, but all these have been bordered in actually the findings that we are going to have, which is the general findings of this research. So I've discussed this. So we now have the key research findings. So one of the key research findings is that there is strong positive effect of future Takafo participation. Strong positive effect on future Takafo participation. And what do we mean? Mutual weather index insurance significantly increases farmers' willingness to participate in future Takafo programs. That's the mutual provides significant evidence for future Takafo participation. And so what do we really mean by this? Farmers, it means that farmers exposed to mutual weather index interventions, which we found it to be about 7.7 percentage point increase in stating their willingness to participate in Takafo insurance compared to the control group. And so the positive effect on future participation reflect farmers' recognitions of insurance, value after receiving information about product futures, risks, management benefits, and Islamic compliance. So this was one of the key findings that we got, that the mutual weather index provides a strong evidence for farmers to willingness in order to adopt future participation in the Takafo insurance. Then number two is the geographic heterogeneity. That geographic heterogeneity reveals targeting opportunities. Now, the treatment effect actually demonstrated significant variability across the states. And as you can see, 4 of the states actually show strong positive effects. For example, you have Jigawa, about 9.5% increase in willingness to take up the insurance, the Takafo insurance. In Sokoto, you have 8.2%. In Kano, you have 8.2%. And then in Yobe State, you have 8.1%. Now, these states represent high potential areas where the insurance interventions are most likely to succeed and where program resources can be deployed most effectively. So what this indicates is that these states show tendency that intervention will obviously succeed, and so the initial stage of the resources should be deployed to these states. And so these states can serve as pilot state that other states can now follow. It doesn't mean that those states that do not indicate this tendency for increased use of Takafo are not equally relevant, but those states that are taking the lead, the emphasis should be on them in experimenting with the mutual weather index insurance using the limited resources so that other states can follow suit. Now, the next finding is that farmers' characteristics moderate treatment effects. Now, the effectiveness of mutual weather intervention varies systematically across farmers' characteristics, providing insight for program targeting and design. And these characteristics include previous insurance experience and education levels. So we found that farmers with previous insurance experience indicated high willingness to take part in the mutual weather index insurance than those that did not have any previous insurance experience. And we even found that more educated farmers show greater responsiveness to mutual weather index interventions, likely reflecting the complexity of weather index insurance. So, these patterns indicate that insurance programs should invest in comprehensive farmer education and training using clear communication strategies to ensure farmers with varying background can understand product features and benefits. Okay, the other thing we found is that Islamic finance principle matters for Muslim farmers. The research demonstrated that religious consent or religious compliance is an important consideration for insurance adoptions in predominantly Muslim farming communities. And so they focus on Takaful compliant insurance products which adhere to Islamic finance principles by emphasizing mutual cooperation, risk sharing, and avoidance of prohibited elements, resonates with the farmers' religion, values, and cultural norms. So again, this particular findings was very fundamental, considering the fact that in the regions where this study is experimented, it's a Muslim-dominated area. So it means that any finance principle, any financial activities that you are bringing must be in line with the Islamic finance principle for them to be able to accept. That's the reason why at some point in time, when the conventional insurance came on board, we realized that in some places there was outright rejections, or in fact, adopting it was very limited just to a very few people, because it was not in line with the Islamic finance principle. Okay, so the other finding is implementation quality, is that implementation quality is critical. Of course, what this means is the way you implement, the training involved, taking into cognizance the characteristics of the farmers, they matter much in terms of implementation quality, because a good insurance product well designed that is not well implemented may not get the kind of attentions and adoptions that is expected. And so, in as much as upscaling is good, but implementation quality is good, because when the implementation quality is good, naturally the upscaling will equally increase. Now, in conclusion, we are saying that the weather index insurance structure, according to the Takaful principle, presents promising tool for enhancing climate resilience among smallholder farmers in Nigeria's Sudan Sahel zone. So our research demonstrated that mutual weather index insurance significantly increases willingness to participate in future Takaful insurance, particularly when innovations are implemented, when interventions are implemented with high quality in favorable geographic location. What this simply means, because we have earlier seen that geographic heterogeneity reveals significant targeting opportunities, such that those locations that show high willingness for future Takaful uptake, more emphasis should be, resources should be directed towards those areas, and so that they stand to serve as a reference for other states that probably are demonstrating very low participation in the Takaful. Now, the positive effect on future participation indicates substantial demand potentials for culturally appropriate insurance products that address both the technical challenges of agricultural risk management and the religious concerns of Muslim farming community. Now, the forward-looking measure of future participation intention, which captures informed preferences after comprehensive education about insurance benefits, provides a more accurate indicator of the true potential for the insurance adoptions in the region. Okay, still part of the conclusion. Now, realizing this potential requires strategic actions by government agencies, developing partners, insurance providers, and farmer organizations. Priority actions. So priority actions include: one, developing and promoting Takaful compliant mutual weather index products. Strategic geographic targeting to focus resources on high priority areas. Investing in comprehensive farmer education. ensuring high quality implementation, establishing enabling policy and regulatory framework. So these are the key steps that need to be put in place. So these actions can accelerate insurance adoptions, deliver meaningful risk management benefit to vulnerable farming communities, and continue to broader goals of climate adaptation, food security, financial inclusions, and rural development in northern Nigeria. So now these are the recommendations and some of the action plans. Number one is prioritize mutual weather index insurance with TACAFO compliance. So we should prioritize mutual weather index insurance. And what action should we take? Government agencies, development partners, and others should prioritize the development and promotion of the mutual weather index insurance. Insurance product structured according to TACAFO principle for Muslim farming community. So we've seen this much earlier. That's why this recommendation is actually coming on board. That this insurance product has tended to address challenges of agricultural risk management and the religious concerns by Muslim farming community. And so we expect that government agencies, development partners, insurance providers need to actually promote the use of the mutual weather index insurance. Secondly, implement strategic geographic targeting. So we have seen earlier that the implementation effect or we have different treatment effects according to the region. So the treatment effect according to the region varies across states that we or the locations that we've studied. And this reveals an important geographic targeting whereby those communities or those states that have shown high willingness to adopt, more resources should be adopted or should be deployed to those communities to actually get a success story about the mutual weather index intervention. So in that case, the recommendation is that those states more proud of those states to get such success stories so that at the end of the day, other states can actually emulate. And how do we do that? What the reason? What the rationale? Or when? Focusing initial effort on high potential areas maximize the likelihood of success, enabling efficient use of limited program and create demonstration effects that can facilitate subsequent expansions. And then the implementation steps. Conduct detailed feasibility assessment in priority states. And secondly, establish pilot program in selected local governments of areas of Nigeria. Then the second rationale is that mutual weather index insurance shows strong positive effect on future insurance participation, particularly when products comply with Islamic finance principle. So the mutual insurance product structure aligns with existing social situation and cultural norms are more around risk sharing. So now the implementation step to actually address this is that one, develop standardized TACAFO compliance mutual weather index product suitable for smallholder farmers. Secondly, obtain Sharia certificate from recognized Islamic finance authorities. Then three, design products with transparent premium structures and products in high potential areas before broader scaling, and then develop state-specific implementation plans and accounting for local conditions. Okay, so next recommendation is invest in comprehensive farming educations and training. So we realize that some of these factors actually have significant effects on the treatment effects of future participation in the Takaful insurance. So now, what is the action? Insurance programs should allocate substantial resources to farmers' education and training using their communication strategies and practical examples understanding of insurance. Now, what is the rationale? The complexity of weather index insurance and the findings that education level moderates treatment effects indicate that farmers' understanding is critical for adoption. So there's need for more educational training of these farmers. Now, how do you implement this recommendation? Farmer training curricula using simple language and practical examples, to use multiple training methods, including classroom sessions and field. Then they provide training in local languages with culturally appropriate content conduct, followed up training sessions to reinforce learning, and then lastly, develop education materials, including brochures, posters, and radio programs. Now, the next recommendation is to build on existing insurance experience. Now, one of our findings was that farmers with prior information or insurance experience show higher willingness to actually participate in future Takaful insurance. And so, because of that, we have to build around those that have the experience. So, what action? Insurance programs should target farmers which, while developing strategies to reach farmers without such experience. Now, what is the rationale? Now, farmers with prior insurance experience show significant stronger positive experience or responses to mutual weather index insurance interventions. These farmers can serve as early adopters who demonstrate. So, what are the steps? So, identify and recruit farmers with prior insurance experience as program ambassadors. 2, create farmer demonstration plots, showcasing insurance benefits, facilitate peer-to-peer learning through. Okay. Now, we should ensure high quality implementation of any insurance program. Now, what is the action? Insurance programs should prioritize implementation quality over rapid scaling, investing in training, monitoring, and quality assurance system matters for this high quality training or implementation. Now, what is the rationale? Implementation quality is critical for program success. Poor implementation can undermine even well-designed insurance products. So, creating negative farmers' experiences that damage trust. And so, what are the steps? Develop comprehensive training program for field staffs. Create standardized implementation protocols and quality assurance checklist. And then establish monitoring systems to track implementation quality and farmer. Okay, so the next is integrate insurance with other agricultural services. So we are saying the insurance should not only be looked up as in isolation, but how do you integrate it with other services? So the actions: explore opportunities to integrate weather index insurance with other agricultural services, including extensions, inputs, supply and credit provisions, and so on and so forth. Now, what is the reason? Integration can increase value to farmers, or farmers reduce cost and create synergies between different interventions. Now, how can this be implemented? Pilots, tests, integration services delivery models. evaluate cost and benefits of integration, develop partnership between and suppliers and input suppliers and extension services, design integrated packages that are simple for farmers to undertake. Okay, so the last recommendation is to establish enabling policy and regulatory environment. So here, the action is that government should establish supportive policy and regulatory framework for agricultural insurance, including clear regulatory or regulations for takaful insurance, premium subsidies, and public investment in weather data infrastructure. And so what is the rationale for this? Successful scaling requires an enabling policy environment that reduces barriers to insurance provisions and makes insurance affordable for smallholder farmers. And so what are the implementation steps? One, develop clear regulatory framework for takaful insurance. Two, establish premium subsidy programs for smallholder farmers and invest in weather stations network and data management system. And then create public-private partnership for insurance delivery and then establish insurance awareness campaigns. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please can we give another resounding round of applause for Mr. And that was quite elaborate, very encompassing, and has captured virtually everything that the research needs to be captured. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, now, with the permission of the Vice Chancellor, we move on to questions and answers. And we'll entertain questions from the tool setting presentation by Professor Idris Ahmed, and then the all-in presentation, or rather the all-in project presentation by Professor MG Fuji. So please, if you have any questions, you indicate by raising up your hand.
Thank you very much. I think the presenters actually no well done. However, from the presentation, if I can remember, I saw that the research project dwelled on two main crops, sorghum and millet. My worry alone, maybe because the state selected these two crops were the predominant crops cultivated in that. But I think I don't know, because I didn't see the justification for choosing the two crops. Is it because they have the same characteristics? I know in terms of resilience, if you take an example of millet, millet can withstand drought for at least 40 days compared to sorghum. So I think there seems to probably have a justification for that. And then the statistics shown in terms of the positive impact, where you highlighted 4 states, I think it's important we also see the remaining states and be able to know what is it that they are, what is their percentage, so that one can be able to draw conclusion as to that submission is actually correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone here. My own is, and secondly, in respect of claim settlement, actually, our farmers, actually, they have been so negligent in respect of filing claims. Why we say that is, in fact, if they have a claim, we told them, okay, now, these are the criteria you can go to field. Give them identification within 24 to 74 hours for us to go there and make a of that fact. They cannot do it. We need a picture of that. So if you tell a farmer to do this, it will take you so difficult for him to make it. In fact, if it's an old man, he has his boys over there that has our own form, all are the andros for use to take his teachers. So most of the times, I can give you the example when I was in Kasna. We have one man, Dalma Farms, I don't know, those who are from Kasna State. So Dalma used to collect loan, insure his days, 3,000 days. He has a problem. We went to his farm, says that please, in fact, my Ogas came from Abuja. We went to his farm. We saw some mortalities. I myself, I asked him, please, Alajidala, sir, what are how many deaths? They would like to say, Malam, we have a premium back. We don't need, I don't need to fly if I file a claim. I told him that this is your right. File a claim so that we can pay you. That's why First Bank has deducted your own premium to naive. Because no individual can go to the bank, conventional bank, to collect agricultural land without deductions of naive premium. So we used to refuse. My other told him, please, this is our right, we want it to be paid. He said, no, he cannot, he can't. Because the same thing as all of you said, the two brothers said, you know, our religion belief. Our religion belief. We will tell you, comment that Allah. Anything comes from God. Muslims, yes, especially in northern Nigeria, we have been left behind. Our own the part of country, you can see all the claims, all the premium that is coming from farmers in this country is from the northern part of this country. But they are not expecting anything for claim settlement. So I would like to call on that research because the police, in fact, one day, in fact, let me say, most of the times, if they are disposing some loans of other banks, we used to go there and tell them, please, if you have a problem with loans. So the problem we have with our farmers, if the first cycle has lapsed, as you say, okay, go for another cycle now. Say, one day the of so he paid for premium. He said, but you didn't provide any claim that we can settle you. How can we settle it? We can't. So we are always making some sensitization to farmers to embrace the insurance programs. So thank you very much, sir, for inviting us here. We are really appreciate. We are here for this. Thank you very much. We don't get it wrong.
Good afternoon. The science team going first for wonderful information about farmers not taking their claims. So we need a lot of sensitization and awareness creation. There are so many avenues through which we can collaborate. Then that collaboration can bring out some positive resources and sort of even increase the number of farmers that take insurance. We ever think of doing some work with our insurance and extension at the state or the local government level. If I say at the state, we know the ADPs are on ground. And the ADPs can be reached. They are the ones in constant contact with the farmers. Then when it comes to capacity building and dissemination of innovations, especially through extension, you can think about the any areas. NRLs is there several means of reaching out to the farmers, and from the traditional media, then the ICT and others. So please, I think we need to do a lot to sensitize the farmers in that respect. Then when I come to the presentation, I think it is like, let's say, an adoption study covering a particular aspect, which is very important, that is insurance. But I still have one thing to advise the team. If we say we are looking at what the farmers are doing, especially the solo and village farmers, and then will now come to reach a final decision on somebody is qualified to receive a benefit or not, and then we rely only on the color of the leaves. I think there is something that needs to go beyond that. There are several factors that we can take into consideration as to what will cause the leaf coloration. If the nutrient profile of the soil is not enough to support the crop, then it is a problem. Is that one related to weather or not? We cannot tie it to only the moisture level. And even the temperature variation, the length and others, which are very, very critical. So if we can look at other things, and then all the farmers are selected after the baseline, we say we have them into three partitions of those with those with normal insurance, and then the control. Yeah, we can do such experiments, but we have to get some basis that will allow us to compare. If I look at the farms and I say, oh, what is the farm size? Are we taking them all on the same farm size, or we are taking them on different farm sizes as they provide? Then, since we are basing our calculations on insurance, are we asking them to have a common planting date so that whatever will happen to each of the farms will happen on the same time with all other farmers? If we are not taking that one into consideration, next time we need to do that. Then we'll look at even the variety that the farmers are planting. Each variety has its own characteristics, either in terms of the duration of maturity or even the length of days it takes to attain a certain stage of its growth. So are we taking those varieties? If a certain farmer is planting, let's say, a drought tolerant or with a stress tolerant variety, and the other and not planting those varieties. How do we know that this problem he has faced is a result of planting a non-tolerant variety? So maybe the bundle we are promoting, since we say that is a bundle, then the farmers should be taken on the same bundle. If it is fertilizer, we are giving, we give the same quantity of fertilizer as a bundle. And if we are giving them seeds, we give them the same variety. And if we are asking them to plant, we also look at the way in which we ask them to plant on the same day, so that we can now monitor the variation as a result of that. Then finally, to improve on this visibility of insurance and others, I will also suggest apart from the ADPs of the analysts, there is a platform that has been created by the Federal Department of Agricultural Extension, which is called the Digital Extension Platform, in which all other information and other actors related to agriculture are being advised to key in. So now, please find out about that and see how you can key in your programs that be promoted through that. And they are making efforts to populate all the farmers, especially smallholder farmers, in that particular platform, so that we can use that access and other things related to agriculture. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to here today because the presentation by, I represent Jigawa State, I was the coordinator for Jigawa State. The presentation by Professor Njiboti has really captured the whole exercise in the last 2.5 years. It is sacrosanct and it reminds me of the fieldwork. Honestly, the enumerators were fully trained and the technical team, they are very handy. They are always on alert to address whatever issue is reported to them. So I really commend the sponsors and the managers of this program. However, in the presentation, I see that the emphasis is on the willingness, there was willingness of the farmers to accept takaful. But in terms of the risk management, I think takaful is just one aspect. Just the last speaker said, there are other issues that probably give rise to the output of the crops we are getting, especially from the pictures, the coloration. Other factors could be technical. For instance, the tools they use, sometimes the inputs, the kind of seeds they use, and then, like he said, sometimes it has to do with the soil variation, the nutrients in the soil in different places. But if you are traveling and you are looking at the farms, what you see emaciated or stunt growth or some funny coloration, they probably have to do with the fertilizer they are using. Fertilizer is expensive, and I think one of the omissions, or probably I couldn't catch up with it, or in the presentation, that incentive was given to the farmers based on their level of the effect, the victims. Some fertilizer was issued, was given to the farmers as incentive, and that the happiness or their gratification for getting that incentive shows the level at which they have trouble with issues. Sometimes they have trouble with the inputs. Sometimes state governments bring seeds that do not topography or whatever, weather condition of the place, and this also results in what we are seeing. So it was mentioned that the farmers,
someone for not accepting something that is contrary to his religious or cultural belief and accusing that he is lagging behind, as that thing as far as is possible. So what I'm trying to say is that the team very good solution regarding to this dilemma, that dilemma relationship between Islamic issues and conventional issues. Conventional issue is that the conventional insurance system and Islamic insurance, which is the couple system. So introducing such kind of things will definitely harmonize or bring a solution to such kind of dilemmas or problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Ahmadu Mukhtar, the state coordinator of Zaria during this program. And I want to say some few things that we experience in the field while conducting this research. The basic thing that many people don't understand is when the conventional insurance in most of these states that were captured within the project, as far as I'm concerned, Zamfara is concerned, is the people within this region lack the full knowledge of the procedure to go and pursue their claim or even get the Nike or other conventional insurances. We have talked with them, conversed with them during these principles. Sometimes some that are even aware, yes, the religious barrier is there, which comes with the idea of interest and so on and so forth. But the coming of this takaful, I would like to make a suggestion. My suggestion here is to make even the conventional one more clear, because it's not even directly clear to them how to register, get it, and even get their claims. the procedure is a little bit vague to most of them. They cannot get the clear idea of who and how or where to go and get this done. Sometimes they will even claim, put it to you that I've been given this form, I fill it, I paid, or the money is deducted, whatever. Whenever I go to the bank, they have their own problems with maybe the staffs in the bank of how to guide them to get to the final bottom of this problem. Now, the insurance in the form of the couple was really accepted to them, given that it comes from their own religion, they believe, growth and in every society is in phases. We are still in a situation in Nigeria, and be it in the local terrain like the northern part of the country, religion, social beliefs are very, very important in shaping our activities and behavior. So I'm encouraging the research team or the future researchers should conduct or open up a way that there will be a transition. The gap between acceptability and even the benefits that's going to come or enjoying this kind of products, the tobacco, even the knife, should be made very, very visible and clear. And this society need to be more enlightened. Honestly speaking, idea is getting weak acceptability because there is no much knowledge of how to go about doing it within this people and the system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ali Rabina, Department of Economics. I I feel I can't resist but to say a word because I think there are potentials for misrepresenting the entire research, given what I've heard so far. So let's straighten the record. One, this research randomized control trial. What that means is that standard efforts has been made to randomize the selection of the treatment group such that the difference between one that is enrolled for the insurance and one that is not is nearly zero. So it is that random. So when I hear people saying, making sure that the same seed, the same this, as if that is not taken care of. No, that is absolutely taken care of with the most recent and advanced state of science in research. So that is not the issue. That's why a lot of time was spent trying to build capacity to conduct a randomized control trial. I think that it's done adequately so in this research. So let's not focus on that. And then there is results. There are results presented by this research. But before the result, there was a problem that this research wanted to address, which is why are we not enrolling for insurance and therefore bearing the consequences of drought and making us poorer and contributing less to put food security? That's, I think, what this research wanted to address. So a lot of work, as presented by Professor Henry, was done. And we know that in this part of the country, there is little you can do to dissuade them to not to refuse to accept. That is, there is nothing, little, there is very little you can do to convince me, educated as I am, to take insurance, the conventional insurance. I will not. For a matter of hope, you say, oh, you've lost X, Y, Z, so take this because in the process we have deducted a premium or say, no, I'm not. That
is my religion. That is my conviction. And I think that's the problem this research trial to address. That is why they focus on what is acceptable to me and our people, that is the population in this part of the country, their cultural and religion, what is it acceptable to them, and then they incorporate it. And the finding is very clear that yes, there is potential, higher potential for acceptance of insurance if you convince them that the kind of insurance you are giving them is that which is consistent with their belief. So I like the example that the representative Naik gave about Dharma Farm. Let me tell you about Dharma Farm from Rafindani. And therefore, Dharma is just our neighbor. Dharma are a very religious people. In fact, Malamet, ulama, no? Every house you pick in Dharma is a house of ulama, kind of. So there's no way that person would accept that insurance payout, even though he knows he has paid his premium. So we all accept, like third-party insurance. It is compulsory that we pay the insurance, the premium, but who among us here go to collect the payout when there is a third-party involved in accident? So I think we should focus on what the research is recommending. It is on its finding that yes, if you want to reduce losses, farmers bearing those losses, incorporate this option to AFO that they are willing to accept, so that when the losses occur due to climate factors, they will willingly and happily put down the claim, count the loss they do, and then take it. I think that's the point we should take. But if we go on telling, oh, we should the same time, the same planting, no, it's a randomized control trial. That is a forgiven issue. Okay, let's take it for granted, kind of. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Shamsuddin Mohammed from the Department of Malcolm. My one observation is regarding the policy recommendations, specifically the policy recommendation 1, 3, and 6. Because if you look at the recommendation, there is need for designing some strategic communication for development to create awareness about the Takaful system. And as identified in the research findings, some of the communication activities are going to be carried out by government agencies, and there are others that are going to be taken by the development partners and also the insurance industry. I think that communication will help a lot in creating awareness among the local farmers, and also it will raise the acceptance. The research outcome is recommending using Takaful as an alternative to the conventional insurance system, which our people resist as a result of religious belief. And the communication strategies may involve some interpersonal form, advocacy, and sometimes be mediated form of communication. So that later, then there will be another phase of research trying to establish the level of adoption for those who adopt, why they adopt, and those who didn't adopt, why they didn't adopt. Thank you.
Actually, strategic communication.
I'm part of the team anyway, but I just want us to be conscious of this. We need to, during the recommendation area, we need to actually say we want to review the capital operation procedures and then look at also the conventional insurance to see where there are lapses, so that when we're specifically saying something about staccato over conventional insurance. We know what we are talking about. And then, though Professor Rafinali has already made that observation, which for the audience to know what we are actually talking about. Dr. Abba, sometimes even the trust of farmers of the system itself is an issue. I will give you an instance where we have Uncle Bowas, where Naik was a partner to the Benue state government, and then there was a need for the farmers to be insured. We even took it from, it's not just the planting season, down to the harvest. Because sometimes you find a farmer having a complete good harvest, good crops up to the harvest period, until when he has harvested, but he has not moved to their various warehouses. But what happened is when the off-takers, when the farmers realized that the price that the off-takers have offered was now lower than the price that the market is now providing, many of them decided to boycott the off-takers by saying that the crops were stolen in the farm, and they all took them to their various buyers in the market. So sometimes even the trust, they have agreed that they will do the insurance, that's a conventional insurance, but looking at the market prices now, deter them from carrying out their obligations as those that can be trusted. So we can look at different aspects of the insurance and see. But the idea I'm trying to tell you is that even the trust system, the trust of farmers on government programs is something else when we want to look at all these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. I will respond to some of the issues raised. Justification for the crop, that is the choice of millet and sorghum. So we discovered that in this region, most of the grains popularly planted is sorghum and millet because of their characteristics. They have very short gestation period. Considering the fact that rainfall in this region is very scanty, just between 300 to 600 milliliters. So it needs crops that can actually be able to grow, considering this scanty nature or short of rainfall. So that was the reason why we consider millet. There are other varieties that are used because we try to find out there is this early maturing variety, the drought resistant variety, but some of the feeders we got from the farmer is that some of those hybrid variety introduced to them by way of drought resistance or early maturing, they found it difficult or it was not quite adaptable. So some of them still prefer going by the traditional, variety that has adapted because some of those recommended actually will need a lot, which they may not be able to get in terms of the sustainable management practices. Now, the other question is that we indicated that 4 states indicated high probability of adapting to the Tagafo insurance. Yes, based on the degree of percentage of adaptation. Yes, the other 3 states, if you look at the work itself, the other 3 states showed a lower probability of farmers adapting to the mutual weather index insurance. So that's why we emphasize on this 4. But again, we use the 4 to say, because these 4 states have shown high of adapting to the mutual weather index insurance, they can be used as other states. The story will encourage the other 3 states and any other state that they want to actually key into the mutual weather index insurance. Now, for farmers not taking their claim, which is one of the question asks that farmers do not take their claim, I think I will take that question together with somebody who talk about if we call the issue of claim and then enrollment procedure. Yes, actually, it's a big problem, especially with the conventional insurance. I think I'm happy that the representative from NIC is here. We actually had an experience, not to talk of the common farmer, who may not have what it takes to go through the rigorous procedure of enrolling and following up for claim if there's a claim that he needs to take. Because as we speak, NIC knows where they are with us with respect to claim. So that question need to come up. That bottleneck we need to, so that we can encourage learning. At times, the farmer may think going through all the protocols will be very, very cumbersome, tasking, and costly. So they just want to forget about it. We've had that experience. Okay. Now, the other questions about only using pictures, looking at physical damages on the crop, and then to make decision. Yeah, I think your observation is very correct, but you know water is key. Water to a greater extent will determine other property of the soil. But I quite agree that yes, we need to take into consideration the soil property to actually know, and that is the reason why as part of our recommendation, we are saying that the Takafo insurance probably may need to get collaborations with input suppliers and others, and we're actually looking forward that probably in the near future we may equally want to look at the soil property and other. That's another aspect that can be extended in the story. But this time around, we only focus on weather and then taking pictures of the crop. But I quite agree that that may not speak all about the crop performance. So we need to take those others into consideration. Now, yeah, the other person that raised questions about problems with the local risk management strategies, such as use of organic fertilizer, consulting to extension staff, change of seed, and the rest of them. Yeah, I made mention that, yeah, we took note of the extent to which this farmer use this local mitigation strategy, but it is not able to protect adequately these farmers against weather shocks. And that is the reason why we are saying that there's a need to have an alternative that can actually arrest this problem that these farmers are facing. One person asked about this enrollment. I think I have spoken about it. That is not easy. The protocol in farmers enrolling to some of these insurance, the steps to go, some of them will just be tired. And even when they're insured, those that are able to, beside the fact that you have religious issue and other factors that may be working against that person thinking of enrolling, the protocol is too long. Protocol to enroll and protocol to get your claim. So I think those are things that we need to work to make it so simple, so that somebody who enrolls, and if there's a trigger for him to be paid, let him be paid in less than no time. That was what we were trying to do about the experiment. Our plan, which was what we did, was that at the end of the cropping season, as information is gotten about weather index of the crop at the different phases of the crop, and at the same time, pictures of the crops are taken immediately. After the harvesting, the committee will sit and look at the information and see which farmer is to be compensated at how much, and so on. We actually arrive at that point. And I think the mutual weather index insurance is one of those approaches that can actually go to a greater extent to manage the agricultural risks like this farmer. I made mention, you remember that one of the appealing reason for the mutual weather index is that it measures index of weather, not assessment of individual. It reduces administrative costs that is involved in going to evaluate individual losses and so on and so forth. So with that, it will reduce time in actually carrying out the evaluations of the crops for compensations, and it will equally reduce the time, or it will reduce the time it takes to do that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if Professor Idris has something to say.
Thank you very much. Just maybe to emphasize the position that the chairman has mentioned. Of course, if you look at insurance, there's actually little one can do, to encourage people from this side to actually grow. But what is clear is the fact that we now have an option. That is, we have a mutual, insurance arrangement that a lot of people will actually, embrace. And it's not only the indemnity-based policy, because we have to know that we have the indemnity and the non-indemnity policy. Now, the weather is non-indemnity, of course. So it means going forward, we should also look at possibilities where even the indemnity policies should be in line with the Islamic finance principle. That would encourage a lot of people actually to embrace it, and it will make it more easier to improve, in terms of the capacity, production capacity of the agricultural, farms. I think it's really important, and one of the recommendations, because this policy is just coming up, I think we can do something not only of scaling but ensuring that maybe patenting that, arranging with the NAIC to ensure that this is a policy that could be advanced. A lot of people will have interest in that. So I think that is important. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm close to the DVC or VC, so I cannot raise my voice. We have been taught not to raise our voice, especially our scholars, respected scholars. Thank you very much. Ajay, you said about post lost. There is two categories in insurance. We have for the planting to harvest, where we charge 2%. And that post harvest, we charge 1.5%, sorry, as rightly Prof said. So, most of our farmers, if they take an insurance cover of that, so if you told them, go and take post harvest, they will not. So, and some of them, after finishing all the farming whatsoever, they will leave it there. So for them, as you said, some of our farmers are so confident that they will put it, okay, because they are going to take it back for the payment, they will take social charge or whatsoever the case may be. So that's the issue. But anyway, there is a post-harvest insurance cover in respect of that. Thank you very much.
Now, thank you very much, everybody. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we've had a very long day, and I believe we are very much educated about Zakaful and what we need to do to convince our local farmers on the need for them to make claims as far as insurance is concerned. Now, we await, the policy statement that will come from this research, which will, further enlighten the general public on what this takaful is and the need for our local farmers to accept this regardless of, religious, cultural, and social barrier. Once again, thank you very much. And quickly, with the permission of the Vice Chancellor, may I call on Dr. M.K. Salihu for the closing remarks. And please do not forget, after the closing prayers, we'll snap a good photograph outside. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much, Prof. I think as we bring today's workshop to a close, let's reflect on the evidence that we have shared and the critical conversation that we have begun. Let me quickly say that, of course, Prof had presented very clearly the major research finding. A
full working paper version is already available. Many of the issues, many of the questions that we asked, I think the working paper version is very detailed and it clearly addresses most of those issues. I think I'll start from the immediate past day of the management sciences. You mentioned something about market-ready product, patented. I want to say that having identified the potentials of this,
Recording in
and I
progress.
think you heard when David was speaking, he mentioned something about Japan looking to scale up the research to other northern states of the country. As you can see, we have those 7 states that was captured in this first phase. And we are looking to, of course, scale up to the other 19 northern states. Honestly, of course, very important. I must say that from research to ratings, right? For us, this research product, the mutual weather index insurance, is a market-ready product that we would be patenting as a department. And I know that for sure, I remember that when we had the baseline interaction, then represented by Ahmadu, your other colleagues from the Abuja office, because we had that baseline workshop in Abuja, did promise that they will be available to obtain whatever product that comes out of this. Now you have seen the product. The product is test-proof, and I'm pretty sure the time we put it out into the market, that we will be using NAIC as the launching pad. And of course, I would also say that Jais Takaful had also indicated interest to do the launching pad with us. So I am hoping that, I know that NAIC was still struggling to get a Takaful license. That was why you did not cover the Takaful element. That was why we have to go to Jais Takaful. But I'm pretty sure that by the time we are ready to launch into the market, that you would be ready for us, and we'll be very glad, of course, because of your outreach and your coverage, so we'll be very glad to do that with you. So I'm excited that you're here. Please, this is a message you should take back to the managing director. Tell him that we are coming. It's not longer the period where we as researchers, we just stay down and then write working papers and send to donors. Now we also want to go into the business of business. So you will see us very soon. Thank you very much for coming. And of course, my team, of course, who am I not to accept your recommendation of strategic communication? I think in the design of the scale up, to be honest, we've actually leveraged on that, and we're integrating a communication component into the scale up. And of course, we will be reaching out to your department for interdisciplinary approach to this research. Let me also thank my Oga, and of course the DVC research and advancement. To be honest, when I called him this morning, and when I didn't see him around 10 a.m., and then I decided to put up a call to him, knowing that he would be the representative of the VC. I was excited, but even though he said he had forgotten, but I was so happy that within 10 minutes he was here. So you can see his dedication to us. And I am sure, very sure, that he's proud of us, because that was why in the last conversation, you see that he introduced himself as from the Department of Economics. He didn't say DVC research. So, sir, we thank you very much for coming. To be honest, to the PI, co-PI, and all of that, the PI has demonstrated reasonable, in fact, more than amount of, you can see the presentation. And by the way, you all know that he's Professor Peter NG40, and you see he is talking about Takafu, right? And you can see that he was very passionate about it. Let me say to the PIs and co-PIs, I think it's been very great working with you. I remember that when this research came, we were scared of delivery, but I think the research team had proved we can do it, and I believe that we'll continue to push the frontier of knowledge at the department. I would say that will not be complete without me acknowledging, most importantly, the two administrative staff that supported the research. In the person of Mr. Igundayo, despite the fact that you are Mr. Igundayo, the finance officer, as well as Mrs. Fauzia Saleh, who also happens to be one of our postgraduate students. Mrs. Fauzia Saleh is the administrative secretary, while Mr. Igundayo was the finance officer for the project. Let me say that I'm not only proud of them, but of course, this is one element that you should do. Mr. Ikunda is a former student of the department, and now, despite the fact that he's charged with the payroll, maintenance, and all of that, he finds the time to make sure that he's always there for us when the need arises. So I want to say, well done. To be honest, the APU research team, in terms of audit and all of that, I said they came top among all of the other teams, either in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and all of that, because all our financial records were up to date, detailed, and we didn't have any issue. As well as, of course, the administrative secretary. I see that she's done very good job for us too. So thank you very much. I want to thank you all for your invaluable engagement and contribution. As we depart, I wish each of you a safe and pleasant journey back to your various destinations. Oh, yes, sorry, and as a state resident supervisors, the farmers, as a matter of fact, I want to appreciate you. I think we have representatives of farmers. Please, can you stand up for the people to see? The farmers, the resident supervisors, please. I want you to stand up so that, yes, please, a very good hand of applause for them. They've done very well, excellently. And thank you very much. We appreciate you. You'll hear more from us, and we will see you inshallah very soon. Thank you. Please sit down. So I wish each of you a safe and pleasant journey back to your various destinations. The discussion we have seeded here bears fruit in the form of decisive action and strengthening collaboration. Safe travels to all of you, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dr. M. Salihu, the Director, Institute for Development Research and Training. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have finally come to the end of this Endline dissemination workshop. And it has been an educational trip. And we hope to benefit more from this group subsequently in their subsequent researches. Now we started with prayers, and it's very important that we close with prayers. Maybe take 30 seconds to pray according to individual faith, please. I mean, amen. The group photograph outside. I wish us all safe journey back to our various destination. Thank you.